Welcome to Film Study, an All-American Universe podcast with Lexi. I'm Lexi. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, rate the podcast 5 stars, all that good stuff. Also start a little Patreon if you want to check that out. Patrons have early access to all episodes, including this one. So if you'd like to join, links in the description box. Anyway, here me, Mena, and Kimberly are talking about episode 510 O.P.P. We're talking about Spolivia and Billy and this coaching decision. So hope that you enjoy it. And listen, people came for me, came for Manda, my friend, came for Carmen, my friend, way back when we first had a discussion about their communication. This is like early season 4 or before season 4, and we were like, they're not great communicators. They're not.
Are we gonna jump into it?
And again, this is before. This is right after they had gotten together. Like, we hadn't even gotten season 4 yet. And so I think, like you said, I think that they're working on it. Spolivia is working on it.
Olivia's
and as we transition
to them, it's such a good step in the right direction for the communication. But we'll get to that at a certain point.
Yeah. No, and so basically that's what it was, is Olivia trying to figure out, right, after hearing from Laura and after hearing from Layla, right, okay, well then what are you gonna do? What's your plan? Because you have these feelings and you're not over Spencer, so just tell me when to run and I'll go. I'm kidding. So she's like, all right, so obviously come up with this date. The thing is this, on the backdrop of it, because I'm gonna get back to Liv, Spencer and this secret. Spencer, him saying, I'm not sure, I'm trying to figure out which baker I can trust, really sort of frustrated me, because he comes at Jordan in the beginning, and it's like, I understand that honesty is so important to him, but it's though? Like, Spencer, in your position, and that's what I'm saying, like, in your position, you would be doing the exact same thing. So I don't understand why he does not have grace for, and I'm not even talking about Billy, and I'm sort of kind of talking about Billy. I hate Billy, and I can't even stand the fact that I'm defending him right now, but it's just like, Spencer, you would want people to show you grace and understand where you're coming from if it's a secret, right? But he was just going on this whole tour in the entire episode of being like, why did nobody tell me this? Like, calling Grace in Oakland. Grace talking about I'm gonna get on a plane.
Grace, first of all, where's Carter?
Grace. Exactly. Where is your son? Where is your other son? Don't you have to pick him up from school? Don't get me started on Grace. Yeah. I was so annoyed that this woman said, "Oh, I could be there in 2 hours."
Oh, Grace.
I hated that so much. Anyway. Yeah. But Spencer, again, has just spent the whole episode very upset at Billy. Liv, who's trying to figure out sort of how to tell him about her feelings, goes to him, notices that he's upset. This is how she.
I hated that scene so much. I'm not gonna lie to you. I hated that scene so much.
I struggled in the beginning of this episode, but I think after I rewatched it, it didn't seem as bad as I thought it was on the first watch. But that's just me. But yeah, so and I think I know what you're talking about. It was like making him a protein shake. And I think what I realized, but I think what I realized on the second watch, and I really had to think back to season 1, which I just rewatched, is that yes, it's for Spencer, and we sort of forgotten who Liv is in this context, but this is also just Liv being Liv. This is the same Liv that helped Asher, that was cooking for Asher's dad when she had a whole boy. So she just naturally is going to do some of this stuff, and I think because it's been so wrapped up in the article and we haven't seen Liv the helper as much as we're sort of used to seeing, that it was sort of jarring, and we were just like, she's just doing this for Spencer. But I think she was doing it for Spencer, and she was doing it because of her feelings, but there's also a part of her that is just she's just going to do this for a friend as well. So that's what I'm telling myself as a Liv stan.
so that you don't get upset.
I don't get upset. No, so anyway, so she's helping him, right? She says she's gonna make a shake for him. Meanwhile, Alicia is trying to. Everybody was coddling Spencer. I did not know why, but Alicia was trying to help Spencer. He was having none of it. And the thing is, I feel like this is the first episode that, and not the first, because she annoyed me when she first came and she was listening a little too hard to like Grace and Spencer's conversation. But this is like the first episode in a while where I was just like, okay, Alicia, we need to have a conversation, girl, because you're sitting here telling this man, oh, you don't want me to touch you. And like in this voice, you don't want me to touch you. You don't want me to talk to you. Okay, so what does that mean? Like,
my struggle with Alicia is how she entered the scene. He was the one on Valentine's Day making all of these plans, and she's like,
"That's what I'm.
This ain't
what
that
happened?
serious." And now, I mean, there are discussions happening. Hey, stuff is good.
I would play devil's
that's making her
advocate. Like, I do understand where she's coming from. Like, obviously, she was the one who set those boundaries. Like, oh, it's not that serious, whatever. But then, like, obviously, the more and more that they're hanging out and getting closer, those lines are getting blurred, even if they're not discussing it outright. So I do see her perspective.
No, I agree. And listen, I was almost completely in defense of her last episode because she was talking about her trauma and like what happened with other relationships, and that she wanted to fix, like she wanted to work on that sort of with Spencer, right? She wanted to heal through this relationship with Spencer. And then he sort of used that, right? Because he was upset about Liv and Noah and blah, blah, blah. And I was completely, but this episode in particular, it's the things that she was saying. It's like, listen to yourself. Like, you are a smart girl. You've already noticed these signs. So if he has said that he's going to take your relationship to the next level, and then you're still saying things like, you need to let me in, and blah, 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 blah. And, you feel more relaxed after this date with Liv. Like, listen to yourself. Listen to yourself. And so that is like where my patience for Alicia just dropped in this episode, is because it was just like, what are all of these things that you're saying? Like, pay attention to the words that are coming out of your mouth. Pay attention to Spencer's actions, because you said that you would, right? You were just like, oh, you were almost too late. And she had made that clear. She was just like, I don't want to be in the middle of you two. But now she's like purposefully ignoring these signs. It's like, does anybody watch Harlem?
Yes, I love Harlem.
Are you caught up on the
first two? Yep.
Okay, it's like Mira in the first episode being like, I told myself that it was like that it was just a one-time thing when I saw you guys kiss the first time. Like, girl. Do not be a mirror in this situation. Like, it's not gonna end well for you, and that is my problem.
I mean, maybe I'm playing devil's.
I do think she's
go ahead.
being. Oh, go ahead.
Maybe I'm playing devil's advocate here too, as I try to not be on her side.
Explain it to me, please.
He's saying different stuff than he's doing.
Yes.
Oh, 1000%.
I go back to, in this episode, when they're bidding, which we got to go back to Olivia on this because this was hilarious.
Yeah,
but
we do.
When they are bidding, or when they're done with bidding, she's like, nobody's gonna spend that kind of money on you unless they still have feelings for you. And he's like, oh, that's just for our friend Jamie. You have nothing to worry about. Let me put my arm around you. Like, that's saying something. And
all of these false reassurances. That's what's really irking me with him.
But
that's why.
Go ahead.
And his fans coddling him so much. Like, yes, Alicia's naive. Yes, she's purposely not wanting to see the signs. But the things that Spencer is saying to her is not aligning with how he's acting. And I feel like that is where Alicia is getting so confused.
And I think that's it, because I was, once again, like, last episode, I was just like, he's telling her these things. He's, again, using something that she said to sort of get into this relationship with her.
make me want to be less scared.
Yeah, exactly. Oh exactly. And I was just like, I did not like that at all. And I think for me, it was just like, that's when the separation happened in this episode, is that I was just like, okay, I can't, like, dealing with Spencer and Alicia separately now. Alicia, like, you are somebody who, and she was presented to us as somebody who did notice the signs, like, oh, you really, to that point, Valentine's Day, like, it doesn't have to be that serious, and clearly you still have feelings for your ex or whatever. I still have feelings for my ex at that point, right? Seeing them in '08, right? Like, oh, you still have feelings for her, and I don't want to be caught up in the middle, and I want you either need to move backwards or move forwards. I think at this point, and this is just for me, but it was just like, at this point, I noticed the words and the actions not aligning in the last episode. But at this point, if the actions are still not aligning and you have already decided to take that step, I can't like just put that on Spencer anymore. Like, Alicia, I need you to take some stuff.
I think it's just frustrating because now they're at a point where they're like official, like they're dating. Like, if they were still like out,
homegirl was just like, when she said I should have brought more money. What, girl?
Ma'am.
He said, oh, but you have me for free. I'm like, woman, like, what are you doing?
So I want to revisit I feel like the root of everything with, Spalivia. The root of it is the communication with. Is that what are they called? I don't know. Is that what they?
I don't even think that they have a couple names, but I love that. You just made it on this podcast, Spalivia.
The root of all of this is the lack of communication that we see in communication from Spalivia. That what we see in Jordela that we don't get from Spalivia. What's happening is one of them will be honest, and then the other will respond the way they think the other one wants them to respond versus telling the truth. I go back to the Grace's wedding episode. They, this is at the reception, right? Clearly, Spencer's like, hey, we're back up. Like, let's go. Olivia's like, this was the closure we needed. Spencer, this was your chance. And he's just like, okay, instead of saying what's on his mind there.
Right.
Fast forward, they're in the, what's the name of, where they're smashing everything.
The rage room.
It's like, we're getting back to being friends. And she's like, clearly that's not what you wanted.
Yeah.
Say what's on your mind right now. This is where we get, Olivia at the end, she's like, you know what? That she's the one that's making the effort there. Like, that's where I see those two relationships, like where Olivia's trying to get, and Olivia is kind of the catalyst for that actually happening based off of what she just did.
I agree. And to get to that, obviously Liv bids on him. She did have a really funny conversation with Layla and that back and forth banter about, like, I know you want the date, but be cool. She says that she bids like $500. She's like, good talk. She's like, what? It's for Jamie. Also, can we also talk about this? This is also a point for Alicia that I'm like, when Liv is coming up and they're meeting for the first time, she's talking to Alicia, and Liv is just like, oh, I have a way for you to like de-stress or whatever, let go of some of that tension, whatever she says. And Spencer's like, and I'm like, girl, did you not hear that?
It's crazy. Why would you? And I don't think he meant it intentionally. Like, it was very much just like a.
No, I know, it was just like a regular. Exactly.
But like.
But girl, I don't know. It was just interesting.
Alicia, you see and hear all of this. You gotta let it go. Let it go.
You got to. And so getting to that rage room and getting to their communication and their conversations. To your point, this is why I wasn't, again, after the rage room, watching it for the first time, I wasn't upset about sort of how Liv had been acting in the episode, because I was like, okay, this makes sense. And then after the rewatch, I was just like, okay, now it's making a little bit more sense to me, right? Because Liv tries to say things like, oh, remember when I helped you get dressed up for the booster event? And he's just like, oh, back when people thought we were related. And she's like, oh, where's the baseball bat? Like, it was played for laughs a lot. Like, the bye Alicia was played for laughs a lot. And then they
her
have this
talking down on her article was
yeah.
something that
Stop
really
that!
bugged me.
It grated my entire soul
As a way to bond with Spencer.
And it grated my soul. But this is why I think I don't put too much stock in like everything that she was saying about her article, like, even the stuff when she was mentioning like the booster event or whatever. Because they have this conversation, and he's just like, "Why can't you just be honest with me?" And she's like, "Oh, because people don't want to let you down. You know, they want to have an actual conversation with you." And like have an actual conversation with my dad because we don't want to let you down. My dad values family over football, etc., etc., etc. And here's the thing about that is that conversation that Liv has with Spencer, where she tells her feelings and she's like, "My light doesn't dim with you, not even a flicker." Sam ate that up. And she was just like, yeah, she was just like, it was so hard to get here. And she said, "I want you back. I want us back." The thing is that she started that by saying, like you said, that you don't like when people are honest with you. And so for me, that was like the writers showing the audience that like Liv had been skirting around her honesty all day. So it wasn't about that the article was stupid. It wasn't about, "Oh, I'm trying to get you to remember all of these memories," or blah, 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 or whatever she did in the beginning.
Basically trying to say that she still had feelings for him without saying it.
Yeah, but I also think it was like she was doing a little too much, and all that she needed to do was tell her honest truth, was that she wanted to be back together with him, and she still had feelings for him, etc., etc., etc. So that was her honesty. So everything else was just like her being extra and her trying to do extra. But when it came down to it, she was just like, all right, none of that was even like what it was. Like, I was just doing too much. And the real honest truth, right, to get back to their communication, like me being honest with you and not letting this moment pass, is that my light doesn't dim with you. And that's what she was trying to say the whole time, which is why, I don't know, for me it made the episode make more sense, because I was just like, she's not just down bad for the sake of being down bad, right? She's trying to do more, and then she realizes that she doesn't need to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm very 50-50 on the storyline. On one hand, I love that we're finally seeing Olivia's POV. I love hearing her vocal about her feelings. I love seeing that fiery side of her again. I feel like we haven't seen that in a really long time. On the other hand, I don't like seeing her growl after Spencer, because I don't think it's deserved in a way.
Yeah.
Like, yes, Spencer said that he wanted to fight for them. Yes, he broke up with her out of selflessness so that she could pursue her passions. But did he really fight?
I don't know if he broke up with her out of selflessness. But, and that's the thing, is I'm also a type of person that, like, I don't think, and I'm very different than sort of maybe the average audience member that I've seen their opinions on this, is that I don't think we've lost Olivia's POV. And I think her POV has been very clear this entire of
that
season 5,
that
she still has feelings for him, that she wasn't trying to move on. Like, she's been very clear from the beginning that she never wanted to break up, but that she did feel strongly and passionately about her article, that she wasn't apologizing for the article. And that's why I'm saying I feel like her trashing her article and then her coming back and talking about being honest at the end was saying, like, I've been trying to act like what my accomplishments, whatever the reason that we broke up or whatever, it wasn't as serious as it was. But that's not even the truth. The real truth is just that, like, my light doesn't dim with you, and that's it. Like, so that's, I don't know, that's at least how I took the storyline. Kimberly, I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
I mean, I was proud of her. I was happy for this moment for her. To your point, it took her so long to get there. Just say the words. Just say the words. He's been waiting to hear them. I want to see his response to this, because
he better not piss me off next episode. This synopsis is making it sound like he has like the biggest decision in the world to make. Like, you know, you're so in love with her, dude. Well, like, don't be dramatic.
So don't piss me off. And I think that's where I'm at, though, because I'm just like, okay, now the ball is in your Spencer. You better impress me. Like, you better impress me.
So he didn't know. Let's just assume he didn't know that she was not with Noah, or did he know that she was not still with
No,
Noah.
Spencer made a lot of assumptions, which is why I couldn't say that he broke up with her out of selflessness, is because I think that he broke up with her because he assumed, like, and that assumption proved to be incorrect, that her light dimmed, or, you know, that they needed to break up, or that she wanted to break up with him, XYZ.
But it's like, and that's what frustrates me, because yes, I guess he broke up with her because he assumed that she wanted to, but then she was very vocal in the breakup that she wanted to work on it and stay together.
The other part of that is that he genuinely just could not handle the article. So I think that's also like, that's why, again, he was not selfless. I mean, in my opinion, audience, Spencer was not selfless. He made it seem like he was breaking up out of this, like, I want her to be happy thing, but that was not, part of it was that, and part of it was just because he could not handle being with her while she was doing the article.
Spencer has a tendency to do things that look like the right thing to do, whether he wants to or believes them to be right, if that makes sense.
And I think honestly, I do think they should have broken up, but it was just like, I just don't think it was selfless.
I think that's what bothers me so much. Like, he broke up with her for this reason, and then he moves on, 3 weeks later. And then Olivia has to be the one to fight for their relationship? And the payoff is just not hitting me. I'm sorry.
But that's the thing is like,
don't come for me.
And here's the thing. The payoff for me has not been realized because the end of the story has not come yet. Like, we've left on a cliffhanger. There is a reason why she walked out of the door, because she said her piece. She said, I want you back. I want us back. And now the ball is in his court. The ball is in his court to make something happen or to not make something happen. But I don't think she's going to continue. Like, we're not going to get Liv continuing to do stuff. Exactly. She's not going to continue to do stuff for him. Exactly. And again, there's part of me that genuinely thinks that this is just Liv's a part of this is just Liv's character. Like, Spencer really was struggling in this episode, and it wasn't just like some random day where she was like, let me make you a protein shake. Like, so she was doing a lot in this episode for Spencer, but I don't think that is going to continue into the next episode.
And I get it. Obviously, if you see someone that you love struggling, you're going to want to help them, regardless of the circumstances.
But you just don't like Spencer. That's okay.
Correct.
I struggle with Spencer specifically in relationships as well. Oh, so that's for me. I struggle with him as a boyfriend sometimes, but
terrible boyfriend. Great friends, usually.
But
Kimberly, we cut you off a little bit, though. I do actually want to hear your thoughts.
Oh, no. That was mostly it. Just I don't know, Spencer, and I feel like a lot of people have had these conversations offline, online. Like, he's not used to working for anything. He's used to, like, that's why everybody's that's why. Well, that's why everybody's tiptoeing around him. Spencer, why do people have a hard time telling you the truth? Like, why do, like, he's not asking himself these questions.
I think we need to sit on that moment. Because listen, any time where people cannot come for me, I will take it. So I think we need to let Kimberly's question sit for a little bit. I was not the one to say it, but I think you should ask the question again.
Why do people have a hard time telling you the truth? Because, I mean, we saw Jordan really wanted to tell him, like, let's go back to the very beginning. Jordan really wanted to tell him, and he felt bad. Like, when you go back to previous episode where he's talking to Layla in the studio, he's like, Spencer's like a brother to me. Like, he really wanted to tell him he cares for him, but it's just like, okay, my dad asked me not to. And he, like, why do people have a hard time saying what's on their mind to you? Like, Jordan could have easily, if he felt like he wasn't going to blow up on his dad, which he did, like, even though he found out from it. It's just, I don't know. He's used to everybody just tiptoeing around him, and that's not good.
And I think, to your point, it's like, I think Jordan is a great example in this episode, because in the beginning, the whole first scene was about Spencer it wasn't about Spencer just straight up asking Jordan, hey, did you keep this thing about your dad from me? It was about Spencer being subversive, about Spencer being like, I hate when people lie to me. I hate surprises. I da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's just like, oh, I knew it. And like going straight into that instead of being like, okay, Jordan, I'm really upset because I think that that your dad took this coaching job and you hid it from me. Why is that the case? Rather than this like, why are you keeping things from me? Why? Like, it's just an automatic blow up, which is what Olivia told him, right? Is that like, you didn't talk to my dad, you yelled at my dad. And Spencer often has this like these reactions, right? We know that he's what did Olivia say last season, right? You have a temper. So he has a temper. But it's just like at some point in time, you have to learn to deal with that, and you have to learn to give other people the same amount of grace that you expect back from others, because there have been plenty of times where Spencer has kept a secret, plenty of times where he's kept a secret that is not like selfless, right? That is not for someone's good, that is just in terms of like self-preservation. So to that point,
the fact that Coach Kenny wasn't even mad that this man
Yep.
was like, Spencer.
And he's the one who's losing his job.
Like, come on, man. Like,
and exactly. So it's Spencer. And to that point about to wrap up the Billy thing, he ends up talking to him, and he's just like, "You're the father that some of these kids will never know." Sure, Spencer. I truly hope that the writers don't continue on this line of acting like Grace and Spencer are completely correct, because sure, people look up to Billy, but there are other people who can do the job. There are other people who are probably better for the job. Billy did all that he did for Crenshaw because he cares about Spencer. We've never seen Billy actually truly take an interest in the community just for the community's sake.
Right.
Maybe last season when he started the financial course for the players, but even that was about helping players. Like again, what does he care about football? So
that's why I don't understand why Spencer is acting like suddenly Billy is carrying the Crenshaw community on his
because
back.
That was never the case.
It'll crumble. Why are you projecting? Is that how you feel about Crenshaw? That doesn't mean that's how Billy feels.
And that's my main issue. I just hope the thing is,
I said multiple times, and I said it last or a couple episodes ago when I felt Grace got out of pocket. Billy is a grown man. He reserves the right to make whatever decisions he so chooses.
And it's not your husband.
It's not your. Okay. Anyway.
Not legally.
And and the thing is, it's just like at the end of the day, sure, like we should be altruistic, and Billy could be altruistic, and he could it's perfectly within Spencer's right to feel like Billy should be altruistic, but that doesn't mean that he is, right? And it doesn't mean that it's a problem. Like, who cares at the end of the day if he doesn't want to stay in Crenshaw? Like, ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, in the grand scheme of this story in particular, it doesn't matter. And I understand where Spencer was coming from when he was just like, who's going to care enough to plan a combine? But I'm like, Spencer, I truly doubt that Billy Baker is the only person in the world that cares about the football players at Crenshaw, or the people without fathers in Crenshaw, or the community of Crenshaw, right? And I actually think there's more well-prepared people to care about Crenshaw than Billy Baker, because he was never in it, again, for the community. So I think that you're doing a little bit too much, personally.
So I'm a football fan, and I just see all the parallels, and we don't have to stay there. We don't even have to acknowledge it beyond this, but it
really did make me think of like Coach Prime.
That's exactly where I'm going
and
with
Ed Reed and what we're doing. And it's just like, just because people are doing good things and they have connections to the NFL and we want to root for them, and I understand, and they want to do good work, does not mean that they are equipped to handle the structural problem. Like, that is, and I hope that they get into this at some point, but it's like, helping the community of Crenshaw is not just you're planning combines for them, they look at you as a father. Like, that's a structural issue that one person cannot fix. And to what I've been ranting about for the past 5 minutes, Billy is only one person, and we should not be putting this on the character of Billy Baker to stay in Crenshaw so he can fix the lives of the football players or the kids at the high school. Anyway, that's I just
yeah,
really exhausting. But that was the end of the episode. Getting into time. Thanks for listening to Film Study and All American Universe podcast, and stay tuned for our predictions.